Based Boys Media, where we stand unapologetically for America and against the forces that threaten our way of life. We're not just a media group, we're a movement. Our mission is clear: to expose political and corporate corruption that seeks to undermine the life, liberty, pursuit of happiness of we the people.
Are you ready? We have been dormant. Seems like we've been in hibernation. We have not been doing any podcasts, but glad to have you back in the studio today, man.
I know, I'm happy to be back. It's exciting to be taking on the deep state once again. That's kind of what we do here. Yes, we did take a week off, but we haven't lost a step.
We're continuing to move right along and just cover the most important stories, ones that we feel are important, and we're also here to bring our based views as well. We like being extremely based and extremely biased. I mean, that's what it means to be based. And we're based in what we believe is sustainable culture.
Yeah. We can't have the continuous attack against us and not do anything about it. It is our moral responsibility to make sure that we're not giving up our way of life, giving up our republic, giving up conservatism because someone doesn't like it who's maybe in a different country, or who's bought and paid for by foreign or even domestic influence.
Yeah, and one thing I realize when I communicate with the rest of the world, we really, here in America, we're kind of isolated in our views towards government. You go to like Europe, go to China, a lot of these people, well, they're not really, there's too much civil obedience and too much, oh, look at the government, we do what they say. And I think that's one thing that's great about the American culture, because it's really what is going to propel us away from tyranny. Hopefully, I mean, we're holding on by razor thin thread with the Constitution and a few courts, but being that disagreeable person, I think, is what makes us great. Because you don't see that in Europe, and you lived in China, you can contest to that.
Yeah, everyone follows what the government tells them to do. Everyone is just allowing themselves to be controlled. Everyone's allowing themselves to... Here's my whole thought on tyranny. Tyranny only exists when you allow it to. If people knew how much power they had, they would understand that the government should be afraid of them. It shouldn't be the other way around. The government needs to fear the people. The government needs to fear what the citizens would do if they uprose. We've seen that in so many different countries where the government, once they've pushed too hard, the people say, no, enough. That's what happened in 1776.
You're saying we need another 1776 to restore our Constitution and Republic?
I'm going to quote one of my favorite contributors here. Sometimes the tree of liberty needs to be
watered with
the blood of tyrants.
I think there's a peaceful way to do it, because we live in a society where it's psychological warfare being waged against us. So, awakening the people. We say all the time, sell or be sold in this world, baby. And you're going to be sold a government idea, an idea that comes from the government, that it can create this utopia. And I think it's wrong to do that. I think, trusting in your individual capabilities and in your community is what solves most problems. It's not big, massive corporate crony capitalism that we see at the very top that just, destroys the rights of the individual. And that's what we're here to expose and just continue to move the ball forward. Not a lot of people are doing what we're doing when it comes to podcasts. You look at a lot of young people. I mean, what do they want to do? They just want to be... I think you can be a positive influencer, but a lot of people just want to be influencing in things that really don't matter.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yeah, we've seen it so many times. Every single time I open up any social media, all I see is the Gen Z, our generation, just going like, hey, let's say they've made it. Check out my new things I've bought. Look at all this materialism I have. Or you have other influencers going like, hey, look at my fun life. Look at how much views I've got. Look at all the new clothes I've been able to buy. And even if you go into the whole manosphere, It's, hey, check out how many women I'm able to get. That's not our goal. Our goal is to restore America. Our goal isn't to show, hey, look how cool my lifestyle is. Hey, check out all the different ways that I can get paid through shilling for large corporations. Our goal is to fight against the corporate tyranny, to go against the government oppression, and to liberate people's minds, spirits, and even bodies.
Yeah, it's all about winning a culture war, because politics is downstream from culture, and if you focus on winning the culture war, that could potentially translate to political success, to create the sustainable political, laws and order that's necessary to make society go. You don't even have to be a crazy alt-right based conservative like we say we are. It's more of just understanding civics and being involved. We don't really care if you're left, whether you're right, as long as you're in tune and you're involved with the things that really matter, and that's what it's all about. So thanks for being here today. Is 66th episode of BasedCast. We're getting into it today with Mr. Elon Musk. Donald Trump's on the docket, and YouTube, you're going to love this one. We have vaccines. So that's on the topic today. I know you guys want to censor the DMed data. I know you guys don't like it. It gets your panties in a wad, not really your thing. So we're going to cover it today on your channel. Hopefully you guys ban us, because that was just one less platform we got to stream on.
There we go.
So I'm excited to be here. Let's go. All right, fired up today, ready to go. I'm feeling the groove. I'm back in the podcasting groove. It's been a week.
I know, it's been a week. Has anything even happened in the news in the last week? It doesn't feel like it when we're not podcasting.
I don't know. We're letting the viewers down, but it's crazy because you step away for 2 whole days, you step away for a couple days, and you're like completely out of the loop. It's like you almost have to be full time to really be a solid force in this, freedom movement of media, and that's what we're trying to do. So bear with us. We're trying to get all the funding and figure out ways to do this full time and just create a system that's going to allow us to do what we love and give you guys the information you guys need as well. So, man, Mr. Elon Musk had some choice words.
I know.
CNBC.
He's calling out some people, and I love seeing it because the enemy of large corporations, multi-conglomerate, international companies is free speech. The government hates free speech. Our overlords hate free speech, and I love seeing him bring it back. I love seeing him at least try to protect free speech for as long as he can. And I think we need to keep on holding on to that. We need to keep on supporting our right to free speech, because if it's gone, what do we have left? Are we then thrown into a world like the Soviet Union or Mao's China or Nazi Germany, Hitler's Nazi Germany? If they can take away our free speech, they can do anything they want to us. We've already seen that going on in Europe, in which, do you see that Conor McGregor is being brought up for crimes against speech and hate crimes because he said, like, hey, stop stabbing little kids? And now he's being investigated. That's what happens when we lose our free speech. That's what happens when they use massive amounts of laws against the populace about saying, hey, we're going to police every single thing you say. So I love seeing Elon. I would love to see him call out all different people. He did call out one person. He did the hi Bob, calling out Bob Iger from Disney. I find that really interesting because we've seen Disney go haywire. They've been releasing movie after movie after movie full of woke garbage that they're trying to shove down our throat. Supposedly they just released a new movie called Wish that was all about female empowerment, about how she's basically going up against the king who needs, it's something about that way, where it's more just, I'm a girl boss, I'm going to take down the patriarchy, and I'm going to show how I'm better, stronger, faster, going against all of Disney's old cartoons where it was all about finding yourself and becoming the greatest version of yourself. I like seeing Disney fall because it just shows that the woke ideology, the woke propaganda, all of the nonsense that they're pushing down our throat that I hope that Elon Musk is fighting against is failing. I would love to see the actual companies like Disney, like Apple, like a couple other car companies pulled out. I would like to see them all fail, and I would like to see them all fall because of that. One of the benefits of being the richest man on earth is you don't need to really worry that much about the finances. So this guy is asking, how are we going to pay for it? He's like, I got enough money elsewhere. That's the whole point of having that much money, is being able to self-fund, self-finance. It's kind of like what we saw with Trump, where he says, I don't need your money, I will do it myself. And I do think that the people, even he said, the world will see what happened. The world will understand that we fought against tyranny, and maybe we are a martyr. Maybe we fall for the greater good.
Yeah, it's got to be nice to be able to have the capital to, protect yourself against these corporations and stuff, because at the end of the day, when you,
when you have that much money, you can do whatever you want. Mm-hmm. And I love seeing it because Elon Musk is in a perfect position to fight. He's in a perfect position to just go for it. And yes, Apple may pull out their money. Yes, Disney pulled out their money. Yes, all the other corporations, banks have been pulling out their money. All these different places who used to advertise on Twitter are pulling out their money. I want to see them fall because they no longer have advertisements. They no longer have people looking at them, and they are culturally irrelevant. If Disney becomes less and less culturally relevant, that's a win for us.
And how they're trying to spin it too is that nobody uses Twitter. You watch mainstream media, nobody's using Twitter. It's irrelevant. But then Elon Musk goes out and pushes out Google Analytics on Twitter, and it's being used quite a bit. I don't have those analytics with me, but I believe it was like a couple weeks ago, or even like within the last week and a half, where he showed those analytics where there is massive traffic going to Twitter. People are using it. Obviously you see the big corporations are trying to protect their narrative. They have corporate interest, and that's why platforms need to get off of advertisers. And that's why we're not a big fan of advertisers here, because they control you with money, and that's exactly where we don't want to be.
Yes, I'm 100% with you on that one. And it's interesting because have you looked at some of the articles that surround his statements here? A lot of them all go into the idea that Elon is anti-Semitic. Even with this MSNBC CNBC with their coverage of it, they frame it in the Elon goes to trip to Israel was not an apology tour. And if you go on any other website, if you look up the news around it goes like Elon Musk apologizing about Elon Musk says go F yourself about anti-Semitic remarks. They frame it in such a way where Elon Musk is a villain. It's fascinating to watch the machine bend over backwards to try to defend itself and try to take Elon down, try to take free speech down, and at the same time trying to pull the people to agree with them. But as Elon said, I don't think the world is going to accept it. I don't think the world is going to look at it and say, oh man, good thing Elon Musk and Twitter failed because anti-Semitism and racism is running rampant. It's a good thing that we don't have free speech anymore.
They'll see that it's much more about, it's all about freedom of speech, and that's what Elon Musk is trying to preserve. I think that, like what he said, Earth will wake up and Earth will figure it out, and I think that's where it's at, because that's what most people they want. And who cares if you're being anti-Semitic? It's protected under freedom of speech. Like, I'm not going to agree with most of the people that go on and poke at Jews or call it anti-Semitic. Just becoming critical of a religion, I think has its place in time. I think you can be critical of anything and anybody and have the conversation. It's the shutdown of that conversation, I think, is what we should be worried about. Because if you want to be anti-Semitic, by all means, do it. You're probably not going to gain much popularity, but you should be able to talk about what you want. As long as you're not inciting violence, you're not attempting to steal anything or hurt anyone, I think you'd be able to talk whatever you want. And that's what they don't want. Because what other kinds of conversations arise when you don't have protection of certain groups? That conversation can't happen if you make it such a big deal like the media does. I'm not saying we go after Jews or go after Christians or anything like that, but if you want to be critical of anything, have an open platform and go on and be able to talk about it. And that's exactly what we should be able to do.
Yeah, we've seen Twitter censor so many people. And, do you remember 2020 and 2021, even into 2022, and I maybe even seeing it now, with the censorship of anything in regards to vaccines? That's what they do. They're trying to make people unaware of what's going on and say it's for the common good, it's for the greater good. If you're not allowed to talk about it, if you're not allowed to ask...
Trust the experts.
Exactly. It's tyranny at its finest. What's the term for when you're ruled by experts, the expert class?
Isn't it like technocracy almost?
Technocracy, yeah. That is
kind of similar. You're ruled by the big tech establishment and the people that know what's good for you, and basically eliminating free thought from the people. You're just creating a bunch of NPCs. What did Brian Stelter say on CNN a couple years ago during the height of the pandemic? He's like, we do the research. That's for us. Or no, it was Cuomo. I think it was Cuomo.
Yeah, that was about the Podesta papers, where he says, we're allowed to have the papers. Don't look into this.
Yeah, and we'll do the research for you, and just trust us, because what we say is valid. And yeah, I think most people, if you have a brain and you have some common sense, you can see that it's all just protection of corporate interest is what's going on. It has nothing to do with creating safety and eliminating anti-Semitism. It's all just to protect their corporate interests, so the dollars keep flowing in.
Yeah, even with Ireland's doing to McGregor, saying, "Oh, it's hate speech. We got to protect the people who have been stabbing kids in the benefit of who?"
Yeah, they've changed the definition of hate speech because it's no longer just. Would you agree? How do you think they've changed it?
I think there's a couple ways that they've changed it. They've made the term so vague that because hate speech isn't gone after by local authorities. It's covered underneath the FBI, and the FBI, as we've seen the last few years, has made it super clear and obvious to everyone. The FBI is a black box in which you don't know what's going on there. They have extra constitutional powers to hold in prison, throw different charges on there. Hate speech, since they're able to throw around that term, so
the trusted public health officials on any of this information, you get censored. You get basically your media gets thrown in the trash when you get talked about this. What do you make of that?
You just ask, where's the CDC? Who's the CDC's number 1 and number 2 funder? Bill Gates in China? That's 1 and number 2. The same thing with the WHO. It's number 1 and number 2 is Bill Gates in China. Do you think they don't have a impetus to keep material hidden? Bill Gates, he's got so many fingers in different in so many different vaccination companies that he's got a reason to keep things hidden. China, do you think there's a reason why they want our military weakened? Of course it is. That's their goal. I'm not saying it's if you're another country and you're trying to take over, which is their right as another country to do. They're going to want to weaken our military. What's the best way to do it? Make sure that the information doesn't go out, censor and hide the information. And that's one of the reasons why we don't see this information come out, because who's the number 1 advertiser of media? Big Pharma. Everyone's making money off this while the American people themselves are being hurt.
So really what it comes down to is just massive corporate corruption. What we go to with the very beginning of this episode with the Elon Musk, they're trying to maintain their corporate interests. And, that's why it's so important, I think, to change culture into... Because even with the culture change, let's say we make a massive dent on culture and getting good, solid, moral people into these higher positions, do you think it's inevitable for these systems to go corrupt and rampant and to basically just be sinful entities because they're all living within sin? Everything they do is just driven around money and greed and, lust, all these other deadly sins. Do you think that we can combat that, or is it just inevitable? Because I think about this all the time. Our entire history has been run by either brutal dictators or oppressive people. We've never really lived in a true free society. I mean, we have America, been around since 1776. How much? Like, what do you see what I'm trying to ask? What do you make of that?
I see the thread you're pulling right there, and it is worrying because we had a blip of freedom, but for the past however many thousand years you want to go back, we've always had a king who's a tyrant. We've always had a ruler over the people. Maybe we've had 100, maybe even 200 years of freedom, but on the time scale, that is nothing compared to the thousands of years of tyranny that people have lived under. And so I worry so much about that, where I go, was just this a little experiment that people had and never will happen again? Because we're watching America march further and further and further into the jaws of tyranny. We're watching Europe. Europe has fallen. Europe is gone. That continent is already lost. They have their hate crime speeches. More people in Britain get in prison for thought crimes and hate speech laws than in Russia. Africa, they're not really in the running for freedom. Asia, they have none. South America, we may see a little bit with the Argentina president coming in. I hope that experiment goes well, but I'm not getting too hopeful because I don't want my hopes to be crushed when he inevitably gets killed or something happens. So America's the last point in the world in which we can say, hey, we actually do have freedom. And even though we may not be perfect, we're better than everyone else. I hope that we can hold on to that for just a little bit longer, or restore the world, restore America back to its rightful place of a country that is based on the principles of liberty, freedom, and justice. But I don't know.
Neither do I. And you said it a moment ago that the CDC is funded by Bill Gates and funded by China. How do you suppose we eradicate the large corporate funding of these what they're supposed to be sacred institutions that care about your health and your well-being? Like, do we just take it to the individual level, or are we just supposed to have individual responsibility and not rely on these corporations so much? Because we don't have representative government. We don't have politicians that represent the interest of the American people. I mean, you go around and ask everybody that, left or right, they're going to tell you that the government's corrupt. We have corporations that sell us out to, world interests and corporate interests, once again, not serving we the people. So I don't know, what's the solution? How do we escape that? And that's what we're trying to figure out.
Oh man, that is a really interesting thing. I just decided to just look up the CDC real quick, and this is a little aside. And the CDC, yes, it's in the same way. Like, you know how we discussed a couple weeks ago, or even a week and a half ago, about how the Federal Reserve is a privately owned by the banks. The CDC is pretty much the same exact thing. Yes, the government has its control over it, but it still operates as a non-profit organization. That is worrying to me because everyone thinks that the CDC is, even I did right before I just looked it up and found out that the CDC is a public-private partnership where it is run by certain people who are the citizens. They're run by entities that are not we the people. When do we the people get to audit the CDC? When do we the people get to audit the FBI? When do we the people get to audit the IRS? I don't know if we ever have audited them. And I think after 2020, and we saw that there's gain of function research and everything that came out about Fauci, we need to audit. these entities. We need to actually take back our country. We need to take back from the public-private partnerships that exist within our own government.
That's what the entire government has become, is a public-private partnership. It's what crony capitalism is. For the longest time, I was like, I kind of fell into the wing of supporting the crony capitalism. And you kind of realize that capitalism in itself is great, and that's what we need. We need free markets, and the lack of free markets is what creates most of the problems in all these third world countries. They don't have free markets. They don't have free trade. Their leaders just care about keeping everything to themselves. And that's kind of slowly what we're becoming. I mean, we're going to, with the endless printing of dollars, I mean, we're going to end up like, was it Weimar Republic? Whatever.
Yeah, the Weimar Republic.
Yeah. I mean, that's literally what we're going to end up as at a certain point, when we just get so corporate and so become such a public-private partnership. And that's essentially where we're going. And we could end up like the Roman Empire, or I'm not really sure, but I think we're gonna fall at some point. And that's just my prediction. I like to be optimistic, but I just don't think we can at this point, because we're so sold out and there's just so much control. Even if the most patriotic group of Americans that you knew had the most moral and suitable policies for this country to move us away from this public-private partnership that we've become, I don't think they can do it. No matter how much money you have, they have more money, they have more power, they have the institutions. It's
across the border who are undocumented illegal. We also have massive inflation. Where is that in their commentary on culture? Like, I know this is a nice, funny movie about, oh, look at these, look at the left, but really, that's one of the big problems that I see with conservative media. We can see this across the board. Is it's reactionary, not looking for actual. They're not finding solutions to the problem. What they're doing is saying, let's just laugh at a much larger issue. Why is the trans agenda being pushed? Are they going after anyone besides, oh, look at this, men can become women now? Are they going after the homosexual takeover of culture? Are they going after the even if I want to go into culture stuff, are they going after the woke institutions pushing nonsense down our throat? I think they might be trying to compete with Disney with just making movies and making money, but where is the actual saving America? How are they, if I can borrow a term, how are they making America great again with a funny comedy?
I don't think they are, man. I think they just want to be, media tropes and media types that are conservative. I think their cartoons are great. I know they're supposed to be putting out cartoons if they haven't already, which I think is good, because you have to battle the culture. So I think if you just approach it at the lens that it's just combating culture and like the corrupt entertainment, because I mean, who wants to go watch Rachel Zegler in a freaking horrible Snow White movie? Nobody. Like, I think it's good in that regard, but it misses the bigger picture of what's really important. And I think if you're going to be the largest conservative news outlet, spending millions of dollars on a movie like this, I just definitely is not. By all means, do what you want to do, but it's not moving the ball forward. And that's what we're all about doing.
We actually just got a comment on it. I'm going to read it off from Zenishan73. They will make money off of it, and that's what matters to them. It shoves their narrative down the throats of people who feed into it thinking, oh, okay, that is cool. Thank you for that comment. And I agree with you. This is the normies going, oh, cool. They're finally saying something that I agree with. And you kind of go like, yeah, but also it's the most lowbrow comedy of, let's all mock the actual rot that's going on in society. What are they doing to try to solve it?
And I think that's what you have lukewarm people that don't really stand up for what they believe in. And I mean, not everybody in the world has the resources to fight the forces that be, by all means, but people claim to be conservative, or we see it with Christianity, the massive amounts of lukewarm Christians that claim to be Christian because they go to Life Church on Sunday. Or it's just like this lukewarm, culture that you identify as that doesn't really help culture move forward. And I don't know, maybe Base Boys should make a movie, but I have a better idea for a movie.
What's the idea?
So this one might get us banned. So the year is 2030.
Nice, I'm with you.
George Floyd resurrected from the dead, and he
Nice.
becomes a savior for radical leftists that believe in critical race theory. And he will forgive you for all of your white privilege sins.
Thank you, George Floyd. Jesus.
Yes, it's going to be coming about 2030. We're going to have the funds to do this, and it's going to be a total movie. George Floyd resurrected, and it'll be Saint Floyd, Passion of the Floyd.
Coming this fall.
But no, seriously, that's what we got to do. Fight the culture war. We're going to make a George Floyd movie.
There we go. I'm with it. I will be George Floyd in this movie. I'll get the makeup ready.
If the year was 2008, you could.
I
That was the
know.
last good movie.
Tropic Thunder was such a banger.
It was, but well, closing thoughts on this, Micah, before we move on for the day.
I'm just disappointed with our conservative. That's part of the reason why we exist, is because there isn't our market. There's Daily Wire. It isn't filling a void. What they're doing is they're churning out the most milk toast, the most non thought-provoking content. If you look at Daily Wire in the last couple of years, all it is Ben Shapiro saying, I took the vaccination, you guys should too. Oh, okay, I thought we're supposed to be raging against the machine and not for it. And then you have, can you believe these libtards, what they're up to? Let me sell you some chocolate bars. And you kind of go like, there's more to conservatism. There's more to being a patriot than, look at these dumb liberals. I want America restored. This doesn't do it. It kind of makes me a bit angry, but also it kind of makes me a little bit disheartened because I want to see America restored. And how are we going to do that with this nonsense going on?
You can't. I mean, it's just another big distraction in the wheel of distractions is what I call it. And I don't know. Focus on your family. Focus on creating the community around you. I think you can involve yourself in the mundane entertainment if you want to, but there has to be a healthy balance of it where it doesn't consume your life. So yeah, man, I think that's it. That's the message for today. End the corporatism. Call it out. Try to escape it every way possible if you can. I mean, dude, I think about this all the time. It's really hard. Like, I don't agree with what Apple does. I don't really like the fact that they're pulling out of X. I don't like the fact that they don't really stand for the American way of life. They bow down to Xi Jinping when he comes into town. But everything in this room is Apple. I mean, I have an iPad. I have an Apple Watch. I have an iPhone. We have 3 MacBooks. We have, it's hard to escape it. So what's your solution on escaping the corporatism? Because you can't create your own MacBook. I mean, Johnny down the street isn't going to be able to produce you that computer that you need.
That is where we run into a problem. I do think in the same way that we can punish corporations, and we saw that with Bud Light and with Target this year, because I can't compete with Target right now. I can't go against them, but we can hurt them in their bottom line. That's the one way. It will be it's very difficult with Apple, because I think Apple does have monopoly. Perhaps the answer to that one, which I'm not necessarily saying I'm in support of, but is we do have antitrust laws for a reason. I think that Apple, Disney, even Microsoft and Amazon should be looked at for America's best interest and broken up the same way we did to AT&T and the same way we did to Standard Oil. There may need to be some eyeballs in DC looking at these instruments of tyranny, saying maybe they do have too much power and maybe we need to go after them and shut them down, or maybe break them apart so that we don't have so much centralized power, $4 trillion worth of Apple products out there. I think we do need to take a really hard look at that and say maybe that company needs to be broken apart. Maybe the same thing with some of the other tech giants like Google as well.
Well, I got one last share here for you guys. Could be a pandemic round 2. Are you ready for it? The election's coming up next year. They got to do something. Have you heard of this? This is coming out. So this mysterious pneumonia that they're reporting in China. Now, I want to know, is it real, or are they just trying to bait the people that were anti, vaccines, COVID, and just is it a psyop? Is this one real this time? That's the question. We've got multiple people sharing this. According to this, Massachusetts, second U.S. state that reports the mysterious pneumonia wave, the white lung outbreak that has been going through China, and according to this, Europe as well. I think there's going to be another pandemic.
I just pulled it up right now. I'm seeing a lot of people talk about I think we need to rebrand this. The Pandemic 2, the Electric Boogaloo, Like, I'm ready for Pandemic Round 2, A little work from home and a little tyranny. I'm ready.
Oh, boy, that's just going to put us further into poverty.
It's one of these things, I think if you fall for the second one, you deserve to be under tyrannical rule. I don't know. I have a tiny sympathy. Like, my sympathy has gone down and down and down and down to the point where I look at that and I say, if someone falls for this again, oh my gosh, you deserve to be
damn well people will.
Yeah, they are going to.
Karen's going to be wearing 3 masks
and yelling
a face
at you for not wearing
gloves while pumping her gas. It's disgusting. And hopefully people don't fall for it, and that's it. So, well, we're heading out for the show today. It has been a very based and very blessed show today. We're glad that you guys are tuning in to the most inconsistent podcast in the world. We're trying to become more consistent and come to you every day and share the good word with you, the good based word. And that is. So, Micah, do you have any closing statements?
Don't fall for this dribble. Don't fall for the corporate nonsense. Don't fall for all this nonsense that they're putting on us. Be smarter. Rise above the rest of the crowd. Be better than that. That's my only thing. Be better. Don't fall for it again.
Be better. That's all it takes. So, thank you for being with us today, and we look forward to seeing you guys on the next episode of BasedCast.